Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Hopley. We're going to be doing another video today with our new math skill, place value relationships. I just wanted to share with you guys, the name of this standard is 4.nbt.1. If you ever type that into Google, so you could Google the name of the skill, place value relationships, but if you ever type this standard number in, especially these are my two favorite places to look, you'll usually find some pretty helpful videos and practice. So if you're feeling like you need more help, so beyond what we're doing at the teacher table and the videos that are already linked in the independent work, go ahead and type in that standard 4.nbt.1 into either LearnZillion or Khan Academy, and you'll find some good stuff. Okay, so our first problem today, let's actually move this down. We're gonna start off with a pretty straightforward example. We're gonna compare 500 and 5. So when we're talking about place value relationships, we're talking about how the values of these digits, so in this case it's the 5s we're talking about, compare based on what place those digits are in. So in 500, we have a 5 in the hundreds place. In the number 5, we have 5 ones. The big important strategy for this skill, and the thing we're really hoping to memorize, is the shifts on the place value chart. So in this example, and feel free at any point to pause me if you feel like, Mrs. Hopley, I can do this one on my own. In this example, to get from one 5, so 5 in the ones place, to the other 5, the 5 in the hundreds place, I stacked the numbers, I made my little quickie place value chart, and now I'm gonna draw my arrows and jump. Remember, each place is a shift. So from the 1s to the 10s is one shift. But that doesn't get me to the next 5. That takes me to the 0 in the 10s place. So I have to shift again. That second shift from the 10s to the hundreds takes me to our next 5. So that means when we take 2 shifts, let's see who remembers. What does 2 shifts mean? 2 shifts on the place value chart. All right, I know what you're probably saying, Mrs. Hopley, don't we usually have a cheat sheet? Let's fill in our cheat sheet right now. First, let's start with just one shift. So in this example, it's one shift because we went from the 1s place to its next door neighbor, the 10s place. See how the digits are right next to each other? There's nothing between them. It's just one little jump away. That's one shift on the place value chart. If we think about these values too, maybe it will help us to remember what number. 80 compared to 8. 80 is how many groups of 8? All right. If you got it, when we shift one time, the value gets 10 times greater or less. The greater or less depends on which way we're shifting. If we're moving to the left, 80 is 10 times greater than 8. If we're moving to the right, though, 8 is 10 times less than 80. But the big takeaway here is that one shift is 10 times. The value changes either 10 times greater or 10 times less. All right, 2 shifts. This is going to help us with our first problem. 2 shifts. Again, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going from the 1s to the 10s. Whoop. That's one shift. But that doesn't bring me to my same digit, 8. So I need to shift again. Here I go. Second shift takes me to the hundreds place. That's where my next 8 is. Let's think about these values. We have 800 compared to 8? 800 is how many times 8? 2 shifts. 100 times, greater or less. Good. All right, last one. Hopefully we're seeing the pattern here. I'm going to show you what 3 shifts looks like. 1, 2, 3. I go from 1s to 10s. That's 1. 10s to 100s. That's 2. 100s to 1000s. That's 3. 3 shifts. Let's think about 5,000 compared to 5. 1,000 times. You got it. So look here. 1 shift is 10 times. 2 shifts, 100 times. 3 shifts, 1,000 times. I notice the number of shifts is the number of zeros. That's like a little memory trick we can use. All right, remember, this is our homework always and forever. We need to try and remember this. 1 shift, 10 times. 2 shifts, 100 times. 3 shifts, 1,000 times. Let's see if this helps us with our example here. Okay, 2 shifts. I'm going to make my note right now while it's fresh in my brain. 100 times. All right, so now we can fill in our sentence frame. 500 is, let's see, it's 2 shifts away. 100 times. Now we need to figure out, is this going to be greater than or less than that fills in this blank? Let's try reading it and see what makes sense. We're going to ignore this for right now. That's for our next part. 500 is 100 times greater than 5, or 500 is 100 times less than 5. Which one's true? Greater than. 500 is greater than 5. Hopefully this blank, this second blank here, greater than or less than, is a little easier for you to fill in, because if we look at these values, we know in 4th grade that 500 is greater than 5. All right, so this is our statement. This is our sentence. This is our place value relationship. 500 is 100 times greater than 5. And this is always true. That never changes. What we're going to do now is prove this with an equation. 500 is, I'm going to put equals, 100 times 5. Is this true? Let's use our fixing 0 rule and check. 5 times 100. All right, I know 5 times 1 will give me 5. Then I need to affix those 2 zeros. Yes, the equation does match. The equation proves the statement is true. The jumps on the place value chart prove that the statement is true. All right, that's our first problem for today. Let's move on to something a little tiny bit more challenging for those of you who are feeling like, all right, I'm getting this, Mrs. Hopley. Let's look at, I'll cover these up for now, number 2. So we did our cheat sheet. We did number 1, which was a little bit easier. Now we're going to move on to number 2. Our number, 1,909. I can tell I'm comparing the 9s and their value because it's the only digit that is the same. It's the only digit that repeats. All right. I can see the 9 in the 1s place is underlined and the other 9 is in the 100s place. Let's look at my sentence frame. I'm going to have to move the camera a little bit. The 9 in the 100s place is blank times blanker than the 9 in the 1s place. All right, let's think about what could fill in this blank. Is it going to be 9? Could it be 20? No, let's remember that blank is always going to get filled in with, there's only a few options. It's either 10 times greater than or less. It's 10 if it's one shift. 100 times greater than or less than if it's 2 shifts. Or 1,000 times if it's 3 shifts. So I'm gonna shimmy this on over here to the side, but I'll make a little note here for us. The only choices here are 10, 100, or 1,000. Those are the choices. In general, it could be 10,000, it could be 100,000, but in 4th grade, it's only these 3 choices. So remember, in this first blank, how many times greater than or less than? It's only one of those choices. And to figure that out, that's where we count the shifts and we look at our cheat sheet. Okay. Before we do that though, let's look at this problem. The 9 in the hundreds place. This is a lot of words. If you know me, my rule is that whenever we have words, I want to get rid of them and make it as easy as possible. I want to take all of this and change it to just one number. The 9 in the hundreds place. 6 words. What can I change that to? What is the 9 in the hundreds place? What's its value? 900. All right, let's do it again down here. The 9 in the ones place. There's a lot of words there. I want to get rid of them. I want to make my life easier. The 9 in the ones place. What's its value? What's it worth? If I have 9 ones, it's like $9 bills. How many dollars do I have? You can count by ones and check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9 in the ones place has a value of 9. So from now on, I'm going to put a little slash through. You guys don't have to do this, but I'm going to do this on my copy. Instead of saying that whole long statement, I'm just going to call it 900. Instead of saying this long part of the statement, I'm just going to call it 9. That makes it easier for me. So that's our first step, is kind of replace the words with numbers. Figure out the value. Make the statement more friendly. The next thing we're going to do is count our shifts. So here I am in the ones place. Let me grab my green. I need to shift. How many times do I shift to get from one 9 to the other? You tell me. Here's 1. That doesn't do it. I didn't get to the 9. There's 2. 2 shifts. 2 shifts to get from the ones to the tens place. And that's always, whenever we're going from the to the hundreds place, it's always 2 shifts. In this case, there's 9s there. It could be any digit though. The ones place is always 2 shifts away from the hundreds place. All right, get your cheat sheet. What does 2 shifts mean? How many times? 2 shifts? 100 times. I picked that choice. And I know that's one of my choices I can pick. All right. Now we need to figure out what goes in the next blank. 900 is 100 times, I know it's 100 because I shifted twice, greater than 9? Or 900 is 100 times less than 9? You guys tell me. Greater than or less than? 900 is 100 times. If you said greater than, you are correct. Again, in this case, we started with the bigger number. And we know this from 4th grade. 900 is greater than 9. That's how we fill in that blank. All right. So we filled in our sentence frame. Now it's time to prove it with the equation. I'm going to copy over my first number. My larger number is 900. 900 is 900 equals 100 times greater, 100 times the 9 in the ones place, 9. Is that true? Is 900 equal to 100 times 9? Let's check. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. I just counted by 100 9 times and got 900. Correctamundo. Our equation matches our statement and proves that the 9 in the hundreds place is 2 shifts away from the 9 in the ones place. So it's 100 times greater. All right, everybody, we're going to pause there for today with place value relationships. Remember, if you need help beyond what we're already doing together, you could Google this standard, look on LearnZillion or Khan Academy. Good luck, everybody.